Is it me you're looking for? Well,
Take 2, episode 7. This episode is called Trust, and trust, I believe, is the hardest thing to gain, but the easiest thing to lose. Would you agree, James?
I think so. I would even say that sounds like a riddle. It's feels like something I've heard before. I know, who was it, Maya Angelou? She mentioned at one point that, I'm drawing a blank. As quick as I said it.
We're trying not to have the same exact conversation.
I know.
Because we had a little bit of a recording hiccup, so it's okay, man.
Yeah, it happens.
We're not going to be able to replay everything we just said. It was only 9 minutes of recording.
Yeah, it was only 9 minutes. You didn't miss much.
Yeah.
It was for us, not for you guys.
But we're going to jump right into the episode, trust. And I think the first thing which we like to try to do is connect trust to Jiu-Jitsu. And before we got cut off, we were discussing about quick submissions. And I guess the integrity behind putting on a quick submission is that if somebody does this to you, should you not trust them? Should you trust them? And in my experience, I feel like you need those people in the room. But if they're like ripping submissions all the way past the breaking point, or you feel like they're overextending what's necessary to get you to tap because they're looking to break you, it's like a different energy, I feel like, versus the skilled guy who catches you slipping. You know, you made a mistake, you left your limb out there too long. You need those guys to expose that as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, because if you don't have the person in the room that's pushing the pace of a match to the point where, like, you really have to respect a submission, once you get out into a tournament or you go visit somebody else's gym, you kind of put yourself at a disadvantage because you may be in a room where that's all they do all day. And if you're not hip to or not readily paying attention to those dangers, you can find yourself hurt really quickly. So you kind of keep yourself aware of that always ready to tap button.
Yeah, I think there's, and I'm boiling this down as we're speaking, but I'm thinking like heel hooks are something that you should never send, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be very careful with.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously.
All submissions, it's non-choking.
Yeah, I mean, if you're competing for money, like you're going to have to play the way you need to play, right? I mean, it's different when it's a professional sport. And people will argue, you didn't have to do that. It's like they're fighting for $20,000. They're gonna try to win, you know.
I mean $20 is $20.
And jiu-jitsu was formed out of like based on real life fighting, like fist fighting. So it's not patty cake they're out there playing. It's not taekwondo where it's watered down. And I'm not trying to talk smack about taekwondo, but let's be honest. Once it became a Olympic sport, it got watered down to the point where you don't even have to actually make strong contact. In fact, you get penalized when you make strong contact to somebody. So it's like a game of tag versus like, hey, you've got severe consequences. Yeah. Right. So anyway, connecting this back to trust, I feel like, the person in the room who's skilled, who can expose those things. We were talking about heel hooks, right? Being one of those things you should just never actually try to finish, I feel like, in the room. Except under
depends on the guy.
Except on under really controlled circumstances.
Right.
You guys are specifically training escapes and then finishing heel hooks. So like somebody who catches the heel, for me, that's a checkmate.
Yeah.
If they catch my heel,
like dead to rights, I know I can't get out. Yeah. You don't have to finish it. I'll tap.
In that particular submission, if you catch it and you hold it and the person spazzes out to get out, they could rip their own leg without even you trying to finish the submission. Just the fact that you caught it and they escaped incorrectly. So that's one. I think another one would be when we're standing and we each are in a pummel position. There's a video out there of Sean Strickland and Orlando Sanchez. Is that his name? I think it was Orlando Sanchez.
I think so.
He was a heavyweight guy who passed a couple years ago. But
is it Sanchez?
They were grappling in a cage, these two guys with no shirts on, famous martial art athletes. And Orlando Sanchez popped Sean Strickland's arm. With like a move where, you know, when the guy has the underhook. Is that right? Did I get his
Yep.
name right? Okay.
Orlando Sanchez.
Essentially, if a guy has an underhook on you, you can use your overhook if you time it correctly to pop the elbow. I mean, it's like a fast snap twitch arm bar. And that's one you're not even like thrusting into. It's literally you twist and just throw your own overhook into their underhook to break the arm. So in a sense, I think for training, that is kind of a dirty move. Obviously, if it's a UFC fight, that's a different story. You should be aware of it. But, man, to just throw that in a normal training session does kind of feel like a dick move. But
it could, but at the same time, what's the difference between that and being in a really bad position and throwing a real quick wrist lock?
I think the difference is pressure versus popping. So, like, there's a push that happens when you're applying a wrist lock, right? You can't just, like, snap the wrist down.
Yeah.
But with the arm, if you catch them, like, trying to reach for that underhook and they're tense in the moment, the arm is tense and locked out already.
Yeah.
So there's not, like, a slow application. It's literally just a...
instant break.
There's a martial art out there that, you know, teaches these like fast twitch breaks and just, is it Krav Maga? That's probably what it is.
Yeah,
I think like, that. Yeah, you know, rip somebody's throat out and just like, you know,
a lot of weapons involved.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What else? What do they call them? Oh crap.
Kendo sticks.
No. Pressure points.
Oh,
yeah, like all that weird shit. But
I
anyway,
don't think that may be a keto.
Keto is kind of like a weird pseudo judo martial art.
Yeah,
Isn't that Steven Seagal?
Yeah, that's a Steven Seagal thing. That's why it's so dangerous.
Yeah. So okay, so heel hooks. I think that like snap armbar from the pummel is pretty dirty. I think that's the only dirty armbar I really feel like there is, in my experience. And then the last thing I think is any kind of like head cranking is rough.
Yeah, I mean, you crank somebody's head.
This is like for training room. This is not for not for professional
in the room,
matches.
Yes. I agree.
You know, there's that version of opening guard where somebody just does like a can
opener. Yeah,
I had a guy do that to me one time, and at the time I was a black belt instructor, and he was.
Oh, this was not too long ago.
He was a white belt. Yeah, it was a while ago. And I didn't like that guy for a while.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Like,
but it was like me trying to remember like how I was when I was a white belt.
Yeah,
and like I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to show this guy, or I'm just turning off and just going into combat mode. It's not even like I'm trying to make it personal, you know. But so I had to remind myself of that. But you know, if you grab my head or you're cranking my neck, there's two things. One, I screwed up by letting you even do that.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't take you serious enough. Always assume that your training partners could potentially do things that could harm you. So you need to have a solid defense up. Even the guys you think that can't do anything to you, they might surprise you one day and try some crazy stuff. And if you don't have your guard up, you know, you could end up getting injured.
Yeah. But connecting this all back to trust, I mean, you have to be able to trust your training partners, but you also got to trust yourself. Because when you're on those mats, you have to come to realization that this is technically a fight. We don't tell people that I play jiu-jitsu. We either say I train or I fight or I compete or I do jiu-jitsu. It's never play. And while it can be fun, we are pretty much imitating death and murder. Like, that's literally what you're doing whenever you're trying to choke somebody into submission. So you have to trust yourself to know that, okay, I can apply this technique without hurting this person and knowing when to stop. I've seen guys that many times that don't really have that drive to push forward because they don't trust that they're capable of doing a technique without hurting somebody beyond the point of them being able to stop. And so for those individuals, we kind of have to talk them up and say, hey, it's okay. Just know that as you go to do this, your partner is going to tap. When they tap, That's them saying, I trust you enough. They are giving you their body in a vulnerable state to allow you to attempt to hurt them. They're trusting you. Number one, you have to trust yourself to know I can stop whenever they tell me that I've successfully completed the technique.
Yeah, trusting yourself in the regard that you're speaking, I think when we start in a submission, that's a great way for beginners to kind of build the confidence to know how to finish in a controlled way versus like, oh, I'm here, I've got the arm, I'm going,
Yes,
you know? Like,
yes.
you start with the arm bar, and now all of a sudden it's not so much of
The intensity's down.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you reached your goal, where this is where we're actually starting, so there's no more intensity, right? So I honestly think that's the best way to train with new people. You know, like you guys start in the worst position that you would want to end up in, and then it's like, hey, okay, cool, now let's back up and go into guard, you know, but you start in those worst case scenarios. One, it's low impact, you know, and you can get warmed up pretty easily. Two, like you get the anxiety of being in a bad spot against somebody out of the way right off the bat, you know.
And it's a good reminder to the person that's on top, like, hey, just so you know, well, not the person on the top, but the person on the bottom of it to know, like, hey, just so you know, you are in the worst case scenario. So if you don't win this, it's okay. Like, stow your ego away, because if you lose, man, you were in a really bad spot. Like, you didn't have the opportunity to recover here. So this is a great opportunity to do an ego check for the person that's working the bottom or trying to escape this submission.
And I think there's only a handful of those positions that you can play to make it like more of a positional and a submission fight. So like there's sitting in the arm bar from top position, right? There's the omoplata.
Yep.
There's the high guard right before a triangle or omoplata or armbar takes place. And then I like the crucifix or the Kimura trap position.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of another one, which is the 4-1-1 position. Like just being, because I was trying to think of like for
legs,
leg locks, what would make the most sense outside of starting. Like if you've already got a perfectly positioned place to finish a straight ankle, you're probably just going to be breaking each other's ankles over and over again.
Right.
But 4-1-1 actually gives you an opportunity to try all kinds of different stuff, keeping the position and just like looking for the right submission in the moment. So, I mean, there could be some other good leg lock drills that you can train. I've heard of people starting in the heel hook to work their escapes, where the guy's not trying to finish it. He's just trying to hold, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like, so.
Or 50-50 and both parties have a heel hook, and it's like, all right, go.
Can they each hold a heel hook in 50-50?
Not stably.
Yeah,
not
it
stable.
would be a little awkward, I think.
Yeah.
But you know, talking about trusting yourself, that comes into play a lot as you grow in jiu-jitsu and as you rank up. So there's the imposter syndrome that takes place sometimes when you get a new promotion. So like purple belt's a big one, brown belt, black belt.
Yeah.
And what comes with that imposter syndrome sometimes is self-doubt. So we've spoke about this briefly before, that mental jiu-jitsu aspect where it's like you're ready to go to battle without doubt in your mind.
Yeah.
Like you're not overthinking what it is that you want to do. You're going to play wherever the game goes. You're going to have in mind how you're going to strike. But wherever the game goes, you're going to fight that battle. You're going to win that battle regardless of the position. That kind of like mental jiu-jitsu is really important as a black belt. Because at that point, you should be qualified enough to teach and perform.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have to win all the time. Like that's where I think people get hung up, is they feel like if I'm a black belt, I can't ever lose against somebody who's less than me, like brown belts, purple belts. What I mean when I say that you need that mental confidence and that performance is that you can play the game in a way that shows that you're competent, you know, versus like, oh, you didn't get the one thing you were trying and now you just kind of like check out or you give up or you're
in a position and you are frozen solid because you don't know how to handle bottom side control or something.
Exactly. And then that exposes who you are as a practitioner. So like if you're a black belt and you're never in bottom side control, you're probably going to have a huge hole in your game when somebody puts you in that position. So, you know, you need to be dynamic as a black belt. And I don't think this is where Profectus as an organization, I can confidently say, is different than a lot of other schools, because we're not going to just give you a purple belt because you've shown up to class, right?
Right. Like you got to earn it.
Like you would have to have competed at least one time.
Yep.
And then by the time you're a black belt, you need to be versatile in your knowledge of different guards. Just because you would never use something or you don't understand something the first time you try it doesn't mean that you still shouldn't have awareness and basic knowledge around the position.
Yeah.
There's plenty of guys who train who are one-trick ponies, and they wonder why they have a hard time finding a good training room to stick around in. And a lot of these guys end up being these Ronins that just go to different gyms, and people figure them out, and then they're like, oh, I got to go find a new place to go where nobody knows my moves. And,
yeah, we've had a couple of those.
Oh, yeah. And,
I'm not going to name a name, but there was one gentleman that would literally only show up for advanced class so he can get some sparring time in. And he'd show up. He'd always talk to you about, oh, hey, I'd love to teach some classes if you don't mind. This was before we tore the wall down in the gym. This was early on. And he was super excited about wanting to help teach classes. He'd come in on open mats on Saturdays, and he would use all of his time for the sole purpose of just fighting whoever's in the room. And towards the end of it, people started to figure out his system. He played a lot of half guard and things that we hadn't seen at the time, but once people started getting hip to it and he couldn't do to us what he was doing before, he started coming less. And eventually he just stopped coming altogether.
Because we started playing specific training games where it's not just like wide open or playing into like, oh, let's just slap hands and bump fists on the knees. It's like, no, we're starting on the feet. It's the first person to score points.
Right.
You know, and at our school at least, you know, we focus a lot on sport jiu-jitsu. And when you play sport jiu-jitsu, which is essentially jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, you have to build positional knowledge. You have to specific train different positions. What's funny too about that is when a guy comes into a gym, and this is going to be for any of you guys who are upper belts who have an interest in coaching, running a team. You can't just show up to a business and expect them to trust you because you have the belt, right? Yeah. There's plenty of people out there who have rank and who have belt who are terrible human beings, and that has come out recently in the jiu-jitsu world multiple times.
Yeah, repeatedly.
So I think it's important that you understand, and this is where loyalty, I think, gets confused, where people think, oh, you know, it's like a cult when you join it's like sometimes, it's like a cult.
Some of them.
But a lot of times it's you joining a community where when you show loyalty and you're there consistently, and just like we had talked about before I think our recording stopped, we talked about how important it is to be with somebody consistently to build that trust, to see like, is this person going to be like this 5 years down the road? Are they going to continue to uphold, or are they going to at least grow, right? So if there's things that come up that maybe are not the best characteristics to have, are you growing past those things? Are you improving, evolving? Like all of that stuff plays into whether somebody's going to give you a teaching role, you know?
Because
it takes time.
Exactly, because for you, on the other hand, or more specifically for you and all the other gym owners out there, if you allow somebody to teach in your school, you're basically saying, I'm endorsing this person and everything that they do in and off of this mat. So you have to be very selective on who you allow to come in. And if someone comes in as a transplant and says like, oh yeah, I'd love to teach here. Well, before you get that opportunity, I want you to spend time in the mat with my team, training with us, doing the things that I'm showing people, so that not only I can get to know you, but my guys can get to know you, to see if, one, you're a culture fit, but two, if what you would end up teaching somebody is in line with what I'm going to teach them. But even along the lines of that, I need to make sure that I don't put you up in front of everybody and find out weeks later that you are going to jail for murder or who knows what. And now I've got to explain to everybody, like, yeah, I put a murderer in charge and he's going to be doing 25 to life here in the next few weeks. So those are things that, for the individual, as we say, trusting yourself, you have to put enough trust in yourself to know that, hey, if I go to someone else's school, I have to be willing to kind of submit to the rules of the room, because I'm an outsider. And while I may have good intentions, they don't know that about me. So I have to trust that I can present myself in a way that people will give me that opportunity when it arises.
Yeah, building relationships takes time.
Yeah.
And I think when you're putting somebody in charge, it's like how they operate outside of the gym is a huge deal. So, like, you know, how you present yourself on social media, how you interact with the world around you when you're not on the mat. A lot of that stuff will start to expose itself after so many years. You know,
it will.
People will figure things out. So you can hide things for as long as you want, but if you're wanting people to have trust in you, you have to be willing to sometimes look at yourself to make sure that you're somebody who you would want to put into a leadership role.
Yeah.
And so trusting the process comes to mind too when I think about training. A lot of people end up quitting early because they don't see the fruits of their labor. They don't see the progress. They don't see the next evolution of their training.
Yeah.
So trusting the process, I think, is important. And what does that mean to you, James?
I mean, to me, trusting the process is, while I am attempting to do this technique, I'm not having success with it. Jiu-Jitsu is stupid. It's not that Jiu-Jitsu is stupid. It's that I haven't figured out the pieces that make this technique work the way it should. And a lot of that is a very good example. When early on, back when we were in the garage, the first time I met Jeremy, he came by to do a seminar. And in this class, he had, I want to say, Travis and BJ came with him, I think. PJ.
Okay.
And one other guy. I can't remember the name, but at the time, all three of them were blue belts. And so Jeremy's there, and he's teaching a class on deep half. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, first of all, I don't like half guard. Second of all, this hurts to do. Every time I do it, my shoulders hurt. I don't know. It's not a good guard. I don't like it. And years later, I advanced. I got my blue belt. I started getting stripes on my blue belt. And then you taught a class on deep half. And all of a sudden, it started to work better. And so what I end up telling myself is, wow, I remember how much I hated this guard because it absolutely destroyed my shoulder. But now it's much easier because I found what the missing pieces were. I was using too much of my upper body and not enough of my legs. So when you trust the process, you trust the technique, and you find out what's missing from it that's keeping it from working for you, you end up finding out, like, hey, this is a lot more useful than I thought. There's been plenty of times where I've almost had my guard passed and all I had left was just barely a half guard, less than a half, like an eighth guard, and was able to pull somebody in a deep half and sweep out the back, and next thing you know, I'm taking their back. So that one thing that I remember hating so much early on in my jiu-jitsu journey is one of the things now that's pretty useful in a everyday sparring session in a room or even in a tournament.
Yeah, it takes exposure.
It does.
And there's so much jiu-jitsu has to offer. It's like the first time you see something, you can't expect it to just click for you right away.
Right.
And some people it does. Some people it takes 5-6 times of being exposed to it. And the other aspect of that is jiu-jitsu usually requires you to have a partner.
Mm-hmm.
And if the partner's not reacting appropriately, you're going to have a harder time understanding it. So now there's not really any trust issues in that regard, but you do have to trust your instructor to kind of be able to correct those things in the room. So when you're teaching a technique or something advanced, you have to give context to, like, what is the top player's goals, including the bottom player's goals. There's techniques, and then there's like little battles within the techniques before they work. Like,
right.
What are your setups? What are the things both people are trying to achieve? So if you're just showing one side of things, that you're going to be running as an instructor, you're going to be running your ass off trying to make sure everybody's having the correct response versus,
Because every time you teach a technique, you're not just teaching one side of it, you're teaching both. I may be speaking to the person that's making the action, but the subliminal messages are for the person that's having this take place, because you have to give a specific response. Jiu-Jitsu is designed to work. I know that's why it takes so long to get a black belt, because there are so many different scenarios that take place, whether a person's pushing in or whether they're pulling away, whether they're moving to the side. Every single one of those may require a different response from the other person.
And I think trusting the process just means you have to give time. It's like if you're training jiu-jitsu for 3 months and you're only coming once or twice a week, it's probably going to take longer than 3 months for you to see real progress.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, 3 times a week in 3 months, you'll probably notice, like, you'll have a foundation.
Right.
You'll at least understand what positions are called. You might not perform it great yet, but you'll have an idea of what your goals are when you're playing a sparring match. So, it just takes time, and don't quit just because you're impatient. Like, make sure you check that before anything else. So trusting the process, and I think, if we're wrapping up talking about jiu-jitsu and then connecting this to real life, trusting leadership, I think, is a huge thing. And it's a huge responsibility as a person who is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, because a lot of people tend to view those individuals as like magicians, or some kind of like mythical figures that can just make things happen. And it's amazing. And it's, here's the truth about what a black belt is. Okay. There's no magic. There's not even skill. Here's what it is. You have just been exposed to the same things over and over and over again. It's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
When I roll with a white belt, 80% of white belts all have the same response to certain things that I'll do.
Yeah.
It's the same with blue belts. It's the same sometimes with even purple belts that haven't like layered up specific guards or understand how to react in certain positions. So when you have that, when you stick around with something long enough, it's like any skill, right? You expose yourself long enough, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, like I've done this 1,000 times.
Yeah, it is.
It's not like I just showed up and I was this good when I first started.
Yeah,
I was a white belt too. A freaking just lazy, like,
You probably weren't a lazy white belt. If anything, you were the white belt that was jumping at people and trying to do flying arm bars and random chokes from places where it probably didn't exist.
That's true. I did make some people upset with me when I was getting started.
Yeah.
But I was also lazy. Like, I didn't, I wasn't the kind of guy who was a gym rat. I wasn't really focused on like strength building or exercise. I would do it because I felt like I had to, and now I do it because I have to, but also because as you age, you see how important it is.
It's good to have that padding, but also to take care of your joints.
Yeah, because if you're just getting your exercise doing just jiu-jitsu, a lot of guys that start to hit 40 start to feel crippled.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I mean,
who are those guys?
Unless you're on testosterone.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's fine. I don't know who he's talking about.
unless you're getting injections. What is everybody on now? Ozempic.
That's for weight loss.
Oh, I thought it was like a steroid or something.
Oh, you thought Ozempic was a steroid?
I don't know.
Okay. Cool.
What else is Ozempic and something else?
Wegovy. That's a weight loss drug too. Is that what you're thinking?
And there's something that just makes you get muscle without having
steroids?
To do anything. I don't know. You're the expert. You tell me.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. This is not something I go buy out the store.
Gosh, I have no idea what we were even talking about. We were talking about trusting leadership in the gym. And
I
started talking about
some kind of way you got on steroids.
Yeah. What happened there?
Dark turn.
Yeah. We were talking about Black belts.
Yeah, black belts not being magic.
Yeah,
They're not
being magic,
unicorns. They didn't give up. They kept trying.
Or just like we had mentioned earlier, just because they're a black belt doesn't mean they're a great person.
Yeah.
Right? Or like a good example for you or even, the kids. You know, it's like when you trust, like jiu-jitsu is one of those up close and personal things where it's like, as people, you're uncomfortably close to do jiu-jitsu in a lot of cases. And when there's kids involved that are doing classes, you really have to have some trust.
You do.
In what they're doing and what they're showing the kids.
And so to add to your point, I think it's, as a black belt, you want to trust them because of the position they're in, but they still have to earn that trust too. Just because you're stepping into a gym and this is the person that's in charge, they don't automatically deserve your trust. That trust still has to be warranted and earned as well, and vice versa. So we talked about trusting yourself, but I guess that ultimately goes in line with trusting others, because trusting your leadership, but also trusting the people that you're training with on the mats as well, because a leader has the opportunity to take advantage of people if they aren't worthy of that responsibility or that trust that you're giving them. The flip side of that is you're trusting your peers and partners with your body. And so if I am letting you have my arm dead to rights in a submission, like, I'm trusting that you're going to stop when I tap. I mean, like we said earlier, a guy, as an example, a guy had me in an arm bar. We're sparring from that position. There's no reason to spaz out. He couldn't get my hands separated to finish the arm bar, so he proceeds to grab one finger at a time and broke my index finger.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, you knew about it because this was the other purple belt.
Okay.
Yeah, you remember.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
I think
he was.
Oh, okay.
He was not one of our purple belts. He was a transplant.
I think. Okay, I know who this is now. Okay.
Couldn't break my grips from an arm bar, like me defending an arm bar.
Start grabbing the fingers.
Yeah, he grabbed the finger and snapped it.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, so of course I let go and I let him have the arm bar, but I was like, dude, like, you didn't have to pull. Like, you can't pull fingers, right? You're a purple belt. Like, this isn't like first day stuff. Like, you've been doing this for a while. So that's where you learn who you can and can't trust. But I say all that to say that, to your point, even at the upper belt level, you still have to earn that trust, because there are people like him out there that exist. There's people out there like the ones that are in the news today for having inappropriate relationships with people in the mats. So all of those individuals, while you still are in charge, you still have to carry yourself in a way of humility that says, like, hey, I still need to earn my team's trust, because they're on my team because they trust me, but they could just as easily leave as soon as things go south. Yeah,
so we were talking too about Keenan Cornelius popping back up in social media, and I mean, he's always been around. He just kind of appears every now and then.
Yeah.
But when all the stuff came out with Atos, Keenan had a great post where he was in his car just FaceTiming his phone, but he was talking about hero worship in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And how common it is, and how, and a lot of times, the person who is put on this pedestal, they're almost, even if they didn't start out as somebody who would take advantage of their position, it's so easy to be susceptible to making those mistakes, or, feeling like you're because
untouchable.
Nobody's questioning you. But yeah, exactly. So it's like, how is your reality day in and day out, the way people are treating you? These leaders are getting an inflated ego. Maybe they had one when they started, but being in the position they're in doesn't help them work through it. So and just out of curiosity, I want to know your thoughts on it, because I have a thought in my head on the reason it may be that way. Whenever you think in terms of, like what Keenan said, there tends to be like a hero worship mentality in jiu-jitsu. I don't think it's limited to jiu-jitsu. I think it's in a lot of different things in society, even just celebrities, period. Why do you think it's so prevalent in jiu-jitsu? Because like we said before, I think people look at it as like this supernatural thing. In life, there's religious belief. I'm going off the deep end here for a minute. Like there's religious beliefs and people can believe things that they haven't actually seen. But when you see somebody do jiu-jitsu, like a black belt performing jiu-jitsu, and you've tried it and you're just getting started, it looks incredible.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just like, how is he doing this?
Yeah.
That's really powerful. And not only that, but, and this is especially back in the day, like this person can whoop everybody's butt in the room.
Yeah.
This is the old school way, because I know the reality is, black belts tap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the sport's evolved, it's progressed. Like it's not like it used to be, but the way it used to be is you see a black belt in the room, he's the top guy, he's the alpha, and that man, everybody presents themselves based on how he's presenting himself. So like the way he acts, what's acceptable, what isn't acceptable, it all trickles down. So if this particular guy has made it part of his culture to say inappropriate things to women that are in the gym whenever he wants to, and everybody's like, now it becomes okay, or like, there's been instances with certain gyms where minors were groomed to be with coaches, and these coaches were sent back to their home country or whatever because they were escaping law enforcement.
Yeah.
And so the
prosecution.
And so the main guy of this gym is now like covering for one of his instructors versus allowing this guy to face judgment.
Yeah.
And the other thing is there's cultural differences too. So like the way people handle things in Japan and Brazil and America, there's cultural differences on what's appropriate and what isn't. So long story short, Keenan did come up with a solution, which I think was something that was already planted in me early on, because we've talked about this in the past, is you don't have one guy. You have a team of people that are responsible for the well-being of the culture of the gym.
Yep.
And then when you have that, there's checks and balances. It's just like any governing body. It's like
who watches the watchman?
And it's a slippery slope, because it's the bigger you get, the more people involved sometimes can make things messy as well. But at the end of the day, I think for jiu-jitsu, it's a good call.
Yeah, I agree. My thoughts are, that's a major point, but I was thinking a lot of the times while we get into the whole hero worship thing for jiu-jitsu is because you see these people on what we call the big stage or the grand events, and you literally can just go to a random open mat or open tournament and see them walking around just hanging out or coaching some of their competitors. So you're so close to these individuals that you look at as the upper echelon of the sport. So that, like as an example, Oliver Taza did a seminar at one of our schools. And so considering he's one of the big names in jiu-jitsu, for me anyways, meeting him in person was like, wow, like this only cost me a couple dollars to get the opportunity to meet somebody that's like well known in the community. So I think having that access to them kind of puts them on a pedestal, and so that you get to meet your heroes, and it becomes much easier to say, wow, I know a guy that can literally fight almost anybody in this room and walk out unscathed. So I think that's where a lot of that hero worship in the community comes from, just because you can see them so readily at random events. And so all of those other things come into play when you talk about how you have to be able to trust these people that we put in charge or put in these kind of pedestal style positions.
Yeah, it's it's times are changing, and jiu-jitsu is becoming a lot more mainstream. So I feel like you're going to see more safe places to train.
Yeah.
The longer the sport sticks around, and the more people start to become exposed to it.
Yeah.
The old way of kind of viewing things is, and there's still people out there who think bogus martial arts are legit,
Oh, yeah.
like these like one touch,
The chi,
the
force
chi
pushes.
guys. Like there's people out there who still believe in that stuff. That's insane. So like imagine that person, who finds jiu-jitsu. It's like, it's confusing. It's confusing to think, when you're a little kid and you watch movies and there's always a hero and there's always like, these storylines and this triumph, and then you're going into a jiu-jitsu gym. Oh, he's a black belt. Who can beat him? And it was like, yeah, so and so caught him in a footlock last week. Like, it happens. There's no heroes in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
They're
all humans.
Yeah, they're all human. You know?
There's you mentioned, and you want to trust the technique. You want to trust the people that you train with. You want to trust yourself. You want to trust that jiu-jitsu does work. And so it becomes difficult to trust it whenever you see, like what you mentioned, the people who have these martial arts where it's like a forced chi push that knocks 30 people over, and all the guy does is twist his shoulders really quickly. So I like jiu-jitsu because a lot of that stuff disappears. Like, you can't BS your way through jiu-jitsu too much. There was a guy, I just looked it up. He fought Manny Pacquiao named DKU, a Korean guy who put up a lot of videos where he's moving super fast, knocking the visors off of helmets that people are wearing, like super quick reflexes, like all kinds of different stuff. So he just looked unbeatable, knocked 3 guys unconscious on video and looked really cool. So he steps into a boxing ring with Manny Pacquiao and gets obliterated. Like, this guy, you've seen him before, I'm sure, but considering everything that he put a video up of, where, he's doing a lot of like those fast twitch movements that looks like it's just instant KOs. He goes into a boxing ring against somebody who's trained to fight, and it doesn't go his way. All of those fancy maneuvers that he was doing, now they're just wasted effort as Manny Pacquiao is just pummeling him into the mat.
Yeah, your opponent makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Who you're fighting.
Right.
And then how you train, too. Like, the reality is a black belt doesn't go into the room and fight to the death every time. Like, that's something else that people, I think, they misunderstand. Like,
yeah. So if you do catch a black belt, don't assume just because you did that, ooh, I'm getting better. No, he may just be taking it easy today because he's working something very specific.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a quality black belt is gonna be like, hey, good job, versus get upset and
take it out on
you. Yeah, throw a fit. You might have to find a new gym if that's the case.
Yeah.
So, okay.
We were talking about connecting this to like every day, and that's how we got on the leadership aspect of it. So, and to kind of your point, the way I would connect trust to every day is you got to be able to, one, set your boundaries and know, like, okay, this is how far I'm going to trust somebody, whether it be with my wallet, whether it be with my social security number, the things that are important to me, or my sanity, or my livelihood, or my health, my kids. Yeah. Like, all of these different things that we as humans are responsible for, it requires a certain level of trust. And so you don't want to trust too much, because that's where you get taken advantage of. But at the same time, you don't want to trust so little that you miss out on opportunities, and you end up dying from being stressed out on the fact that you never trusted anyone or anything.
Yeah, being somebody that is reliable, being somebody trustworthy to handle things, because sometimes it's not always just like if I know James is running a class, I'm going to trust that it's going to be a safe class and everybody's going to get the style of training that they deserve and they need, and that it's going to be a good night,
Yeah.
So it's like, for that to occur, I have to have had some sort of experience with you. I would have had to have witnessed you lead a class before, and then I have to give you the opportunity to display that I trust you. Like you have to give trust sometimes, you know.
And that can be like a major dopamine hit whenever you get those opportunities, because I remember early on when life was happening for you and you said, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to make it in tonight, James. Can you run a class for me?" And I was a white belt, and there were blue belts in the room, which to me was like, whoa, so you mean I'm going to have to teach the upper belts and the white belts tonight? So initially I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, don't screw this up. Like, he clearly has a large amount of trust in you right now. So this is your opportunity to show him that trust is well placed. So I taught the class. I called him when I was done. I told him how it went. And from that day forward, it's like, all right, well, hey, can you teach this up one for me? And so, but those, when I say it's a dopamine hit, is because there's benefit for both you and the receiving person on the spectrum of trust from that. When you give trust to the right person, after you've identified, like, this is someone that I can trust, you get a lot more benefit out of it, because not only do you get what you needed in that moment, but that other person, they get a boost as well, because they have got to a place where, wow, somebody's got confidence in me to think that I can do this thing that may have been beyond my capabilities a few weeks or months ago. So there's a lot to be gained when you do trust others.
Yeah.
When it's the right person.
Exactly. And, somebody who's consistent, I mean, those are going to be the people you're with day in and day out. And it's funny because trust sometimes we want to trust people that we shouldn't trust, and then the people that we don't trust are people that we should.
Like me.
In like a weird way. But no, I mean, it was an easy decision because we had spent time together. I saw how you carried yourself. I also saw how much you cared about what was being shown and the techniques and stuff. So it was like an easy decision. And just because you were a white belt, well, for one, I didn't really have a choice. I was in between jobs. I was going through rough time in my personal life. And somehow you help. I mean, that's why I credit you and Alex, you two guys specifically, with helping carry it as far as it's gone, because left to my own devices, it would have failed.
No, I don't think so. There would have been another James. There would have been another Alex.
But just
we just
because
happened to be in
somebody
the right place at the right time.
Just because there were blue belts that I could have asked, I asked you because you were consistent and you were somebody I trusted. You know, I had guys who were training with me around that time who I thought I had a lot of trust in, and it turned out that they weren't very trustworthy people. And just because you find out they're not very trustworthy doesn't always mean you have to shut them out. And sometimes it's just people make mistakes, and we
all do.
I think people deserve second chances. I just think it depends on the severity of what it is. And I also think it just depends on the direction you're moving versus the energy that person brings to the table, right? Because some people will drain like the energy of what you're trying to put into what you're creating.
Yeah. And I remember what I was trying to say earlier about Maya Angelou. It's
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that was intentional. I wanted to make sure I included
for this
that.
Moment.
Yes, for this moment. Like she says, when people show you who they are, believe them. Because there are many times I've been in situations where I've seen somebody who has repeatedly treated another individual poorly, and that person continues to go back to them, trust and all, knowing exactly the outcome they're going to get from that person. So if somebody has shown you who they are, you got to trust and believe that's who they are, and make your decisions on what you do next based on that. So if it's in the mat and once that guy broke my finger, from that day forward, I was like, okay, so you don't get the nice version of me. You get the 100% offensive, always on guard. I remember blacking him out one day later on the mat version of James. So it's...
Or you cannot train with that person.
Yeah, you could not train with him.
I always throw that in there.
You could not train with him. but we all know
Yeah.
you're going to end up training with them again.
Yeah.
You just got to be more, you have to be intentional about what you do. And like, okay, I don't trust that this person is going to be able to do this technique without me getting hurt. So I'm not going to let them.
I mean, that gives you the real life aspect of
It
training.
does. It
Because
does.
when you're like, this guy could at any point try to slam me, try to do this, that's when your jiu-jitsu really shows how much it's come along. Because if you can confidently go into an altercation with someone and like not be scared of whatever could happen, punches, whatever, slamming, then you've probably got some quality training.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I benefited from it because of him. I operated with a higher sense of alertness when dealing with the unexpected people. Like a new white belt walks in a room and my spider senses go up. Well, now just any transplant coming in the room, my senses are heightened to whatever randomness they may do. And even with some of our own, like there are times where somebody finds something on YouTube or Instagram and, hey, I'm going to see if I can get this to work, and I'm going to try to throw it really, really fast. You still got to have your wherewithal together. So if they try those things, you can respond in a way that you or they don't get hurt. Because sometimes a good training partner not only has to protect themselves, but they got to protect you from yourself.
Yeah, trust is heavy, man. You were talking about personal relationships earlier and how people go back to, the person shows you who they are and they hurt you, and you continue to go back to them, or you continue to make sacrifices to make things work with that person. You see that a lot in like addictions and stuff like that.
That's part of the disease.
It's tough, and I think the disease, the quote unquote disease, because a lot of people argue about that too. But I think it extends beyond substance abuse. Like I think attention is a disease. Like I think overeating is a disease. Like there's a lot of things that people crave that aren't necessarily good for them. And the hardest part about when people break your trust because they are, they're looking for some kind of outside validation or some kind of outside chemical to make them feel a certain way, and it affects you. It breaks your trust in them, or it hurts your self-esteem, your self-worth based on this other person's actions. It can rattle you, and it's tough because if you've got time invested, right? If you got time invested with someone and they break that trust, it's like you want to forgive them.
Yeah.
You want to look for reasons to keep that relationship going, to be around that person. Because maybe you also have a sense of being somebody who that person needs. Like, they're going through a time, they're having their issue right now. I can't abandon them. That's a really tough thing. I
don't know for a fact, but I feel like some of it at times could be, I don't want to feel foolish for trusting in a person, which goes to your ego again. But at the same time, if I put my trust in this person who's hurt me, now I look stupid. But if this person gets it together, that says my trust was not misplaced. And so I save face.
And it makes me think about like just general arguments that people get into, and how when we're trying to win arguments, rarely anybody wins actually. In fact, the person that wins usually feels the worse. Somebody once said, would you rather win the argument, or would you rather be happy? Would you rather be right, or would you rather be happy?
Yeah.
And so sometimes being right doesn't always mean
that you're going to end up being happy.
Yeah, and thinking about like searching for evidence or getting outside people from the outside involved, or just people involved in like your whatever like struggle you're having with someone. A lot of times that could appear to be like a break of trust, where it's like you can no longer safely have a debate with this person.
Yeah, because now it's public.
Now we have to have other people involved. Yeah, you shared things that you weren't supposed to, or yeah, it's like information was just not safeguarded.
Yeah,
like personal things.
Because the thought is, what is your intention? You told these people this information. Was it truly to seek counsel on how to handle this situation, or was it just to put the other person in a bad light?
That, yeah, or yeah, it's crazy, man, because we all have different realities. So, like, two people can experience the same thing very, very differently, and there's their way, there's like one person's way, the other person's way, and then there's the truth.
Yeah.
And so that gets skewed sometimes, and you hear about it all the time in courtrooms.
Yeah.
Where it's like you have a court case happening revolved around somebody being guilty or innocent, and but the truth is sometimes somewhere in between.
Right. Because we live in a world of our own perceptions. So, yes, there may be some black and white scenarios, but when it comes to the fuzzy gray of the world, I can say the same thing 7 different ways, and every time I change the octave of my voice or the inflection of my voice, now that same thing means 7 different things. So I could say something with the intention of hurting somebody, but I could say the exact same thing with the intention of letting them know I really care about them. So,
and then how they take that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've got all these different scenarios that can play out. So all of this kind of revolving back around trust of you have to trust the intentions of the people that you're around and who you choose to trust and how close you allow people to get and at what pace you allow them to get close to you. So you gotta guard your mental space. You gotta guard your emotional space so that at the end of the day, you can continue to navigate the world in a healthy means.
Yeah, I think when there's certain boundaries that get crossed, when trust breaks, I mean, it's very hard to get it back.
It is.
It's very hard to get it back. It takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of self-work.
Yeah.
You can't spend your time trying to earn trust from somebody when you're still trying to work on yourself. A lot of times, as opposed to trying to earn that trust back, you're better suited focusing on building yourself to be the type of person that can be trusted.
Right. Because a lot of times you find if you don't even know what your intentions are, well, people probably aren't going to trust you too much. You have to be able to first have a clear conscience or clear mindset to say, okay, this is what I plan on doing. This is what my intention is, and build from there. Because yes, I know it's hard to get trust back, but a lot of times I think that's because you have to be willing to fix something inside of yourself first, which will allow people to see, okay, this is the version of this person that seems like the true them and more likely something that I could trust over time.
Yeah,
because that even comes with levels.
Yeah, that's when intentions become clear. Like you're only making these changes to get this person back into your life versus you're making these changes to actually be a better person.
Exactly.
And if this person comes back into your life as a result of that, that's great. But what if they don't? What if they never forgive you? What if they just decide that they're done?
Yeah.
Can you still live with yourself?
Right. Can you be okay with that?
You have to be detached in that way because the past is the past. Like you can't change what's done. And you can't worry about the future. You have to decide that here and now you're going to focus on being the best person that you can be. When the opportunity presents itself, you'll be different, right?
Yeah.
You'll be better. You'll handle things the way you're supposed to.
Yeah, acknowledge your past, plan for the future, and live for today.
How we doing?
We are at 59 minutes and 35 seconds.
Look at that, bro.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
We technically had 10 minutes that
I
was
know.
not recorded.
I know. It was really good, too. Y'all would have enjoyed it. Like, it was freaking awesome. Jeff was telling a story about how he hated me when he first met me. Thought I was a weirdo.
Did we talk about... I thought we talked about that the second.
We did.
We didn't?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No. We got a couple seconds. Jeff did not trust me when he first met me. He said I was a big guy, and that was enough for him not to trust me.
He was a big guy.
Because I was big. I was super focused. He said I made I made mean faces in class, and all I was doing was focused and studying, because here I am trying to learn how to fight people again for the first time in 20-something years.
Because you and Alex live in the same neighborhood.
Yep.
And you work together, too.
Yep.
And Alex brought you in for a class.
Yep.
And
well, I came when he wasn't there because I knew he was going to try to fight me.
Yeah, there you go.
That's exactly what happened.
And you appeared to be a man who had been lifting weights angrily in his garage for years.
I was.
And it was intimidating. So I was like, okay, let's see what this guy's about. I don't even remember if I rolled with you or not that day.
No, because I didn't even stay for a open mat until like the second month.
Did the moves. We did the warm up. Yep. Yeah. So, but it wasn't long after that your personality started coming through, and then you also leaned out a lot. There's a time where you were under 200 pounds.
Oh, yeah. I got down to 192 and felt gross looking.
Yeah.
It's like not going to do that again.
I look at some of the old footage of us when we were training, and I was like, dang, man, we were all skinnier.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it so much. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to buy myself a new gi and this other stuff. And while I was doing it, I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy Jeff a rash guard, and I'm going to buy Alex one, because Alex is my brother. I got to get him something. But I really like Jeff, and I want to show him I appreciate him for training me. Even though I'm paying to go here, I still want him to know I appreciate it. So I bought him a rash guard that had a dragon on it, because Jeff likes dragons. Max doesn't like dragons. We all know this. And so I got him the rash guard, and come to find out later from Alex is like, hey, man, Jeff's like, asked me like, hey, what's up with your boy James? He's freaking weird, man.
No, I think I just, at the time, it was the first time somebody ever really like showed appreciation. I think the guys enjoyed the training, but it was, and it was fun. There was still like a professional
line
there. Yeah, line, but it was just different. It's different to be shown appreciation in that way. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, Oh, here we are, almost 9 years later.
Still doing it.
Yeah, second set of podcasts.
That's it, man. And you've seen a lot of people come and go. People that started before you.
Yeah,
they're no longer training.
Yeah, and like people that I looked up to that I'm surprised don't train with us. You see so many people come and go, and I think Mike Turner probably has the best line. I'm not going to learn your name until you're here for 6 months. So I think that's important, because it's like, I want to have my guard up enough that I don't get hurt in this room, because while you may have all the greatest intentions in the world, you're still a white belt, and I don't know you, so I don't want to get hurt in here.
I think that's a good rule of thumb for upper belts that want to teach or coach at another gym. Like, unless you're already renowned person, like you have a following and people know you and you're joining a team or whatever, that's different. But if you're Joe Schmo who got his black belt in bumfuck Oregon or whatever, like guys aren't gonna take you serious until they've gotten to know you.
Pistol Pete's BJJ, shout out to them.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I guess we'll close this out. You wanna try to close it out?
Again, all right.
Name all the socials.
Oh my God, here we go. I don't remember them because I don't even have social media.
That's okay.
All right. Well, thank you again for tuning in, folks. Appreciate y'all listening. I hope y'all enjoyed this. This is episode 7 of Be On the Mats, where we talked about trust today. And if you enjoyed this and you want to hear more of it, we've got more episodes online. You can find us on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, probably Snapchat, I don't know, Spotify at Be On The Mats, all one word, squished together, but separate and the same. Is that it? Did I get it?
I think that's good.
That's close enough.
They got the point.
Yeah. Subscribe, click the bell, do the thing.
That's it. Appreciate you guys.
Later.